Mr. Vishwanath Sarup can start why patient centricity is important for innovation. What do you, Sarup?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you to Economic Times for organizing this. Thank you, Mr. Jain, for the nice introduction. And to my fellow panelists, a big hello. Really nice to be in this elite company and talking about this great topic. You know, if I take a step back, and we were just discussing this, for a long time, healthcare has been a little bit of the back burner, and it's all across. When it comes to our own self-discipline, it's always, we keep our health at the back burner. The morning walk is simply an option when we are young and in our middle ages. And similarly for the government, and similarly for media, and similarly for people all across, right? Now, COVID is a huge crisis that not only India, but the entire world is dealing with. One collateral benefit, and literally I'm saying collateral benefit of this crisis has been that it has brought healthcare to the forefront. Now, I want to just rewind back when the first lockdown was announced a little over a year ago, and literally we went into this shell of we didn't know what to do. And I'm talking about all industries, but specifically about the healthcare and pharma industry, right? We were used to certain patient and doctor models of a certain go-to-market approach, right? And people on this panel and people having worked in the industry would know there was a certain way of how we operated this business, which was about, calling out the benefits of our products to doctors, enlightening them about them, sharing the knowledge, scientific focus. And then the patient flow would come to the doctors, and the doctors would make the right choice for the patient. And that's how the industry kind of operated. That's how the healthcare ecosystem operated. Well, back in March, April last year, it all came to a grinding halt. We couldn't go to the doctors, we couldn't talk to them, we couldn't talk about the latest scientific developments. There was a constraint and limitation on how the supply chains could operate. Our dependence on China for API came to the forefront because a lot of our critical APIs were still dependent on China. And this is a time where the country really needed a lot of healthcare support, right? Now, in this crisis, that's where innovation starts. So, there was a saying that, what has COVID done? Whatever the digital officer, the chief digital officer in each company, in each healthcare company was trying to do in 10 years, COVID made it happen in 2 months. Now, all of a sudden, we went to the drawing board and started saying, we are still true about how we serve our patients. And in this new reality, how do we serve our patients? And say, let's forget this entire ecosystem, how it operated earlier, and what are the new things we need to bring. And that's where within, I would say, the fast companies move within 2 weeks to 2 months. But each company, each partner in this entire ecosystem converted their business model to this new reality, right? From a pharma side, I can talk about it, that we went digital in a big way. We went digital. We used to talk about how we talk to patients, how do we share the required information and patient support that is required to bring them up to speed on their knowledge through physical handouts. Well, we said that's not the reality of today. You can't do that. We can't even go and meet the doctor. So we created something, and a lot of companies is that saying, how do we stay connected with our doctors, provide them the information that they need for their patients in a digital way, right? That's one channel which opened up. And the doctors appreciated that. They, of course, were bombarded initially, but then they were able to figure out which is the value additive stuff and which is the noise. And they picked the right value addition stuff for their patients and start passing on that information. We used to earlier talk about teleconsult and how do we use telemedicine. And that was always, it'll never happen. People still want to go and meet doctors, etc. But people who've gone, and unfortunately myself as well, having gone through COVID, we went through this. And during that time, it was only teleconsult that helped us. Now, we'll talk about it later, but teleconsult, if you look at the guidelines that are there, are still from the 1980s and they haven't been refreshed. So what can a doctor today tell a patient and prescribe to a patient through a teleconsult is very limited. But again, those models were taken up, refreshed, and made sure that the patient and the doctors were able to ride through this and manage through this wave very, very carefully. So I think in summary, I would say the crisis has helped us rethink and bring innovation in a digital way. And digital has been a big piece to still meet 70-80% of what we used to do earlier. I'm still not, still not at 100%, but I think we're at 70-80% or in terms of efficacy of the effectiveness of the initiatives that we had. Now, it is about how do we now make it much more efficient and how do we make it much more effective. So that's, I think, very, very critical. And at BSV, I would add, last thing is we keep patient at the center of everything that we do. So any initiative, any thought that we have, we always think of the patient first and what does it mean for the patient. And if you are able to do that well, our belief is the entire ecosystem, the doctors, the providers, everybody would align and help deliver that value. And we've always done that. And we've seen a lot of alignment within the community for that. So with that, I think digitalization and keeping patient at the center of everything that we do will help us tide over and make this much required change. Thank you.